Magic the Gathering is business based on a game. Same way that like the NFL is a business based on a game. The decisions that they're making are business decisions. Your emotions don't fucking matter, guys. They matter to you.
Today, I am talking to a former professional athlete, an NFL player named Cassius Marsh. Cassius has been playing Magic for a really long time, but over the last decade or so, he has risen to become one of the most important and prominent people in the entire global community, not just because of his advocacy, his enjoyment of the very popular Commander format, but also because he's a very influential person in Magic's secondary market, the transaction of Magic cards. All these crazy new cards that people are buying and speculating on. Cassius is right at the forefront of that. He is also spearheading a completely brand new way to play Commander competitively, a thing he's calling Cali Commander. I can't wait to talk about that. We have a million other things to discuss, so let's get right to it. Cassius, so good to see you, man.
My brother, always a pleasure, man. Appreciate you having me on.
This is actually our second conversation, isn't it? Because we had a little powwow about a week ago.
We did. And the people will see that. It was so funny. We started the interview. You're like, this is about to be like 2 hours long. And I'm like, man, I've never done longer than like, I think the longest I ever did was like an hour, 15 minutes. We hit that 2 hour mark pretty quick there, buddy.
Hit it and blew right past it, honestly. Yeah. We could have kept going on and on. So
100%.
I do want to revisit some of the topics that we discussed on your podcast just for the audience, because certainly there's some overlap, but also a lot of people probably haven't really heard much about you in the past. So the first thing I wanted to talk about actually is this anomalous thing about you in particular. As far as I know, you're kind of like patient zero in a way of this really interesting cultural shift that's happened across not just athletics, but also in things like media, in media production, in movie making, and so on. Yeah. We're seeing this blending of cultures going on right now. And you sort of seem like you're the main guy in the world of athletics to have transitioned kind of from being a prominent athlete over to playing Magic and advocating for Magic and stuff. How did you get started originally in athletics?
Athletics, dude, my dad played in the NFL. My older brother was always the best football player and one of the best athletes in the city. What I'll tell you is at 6 years old, somebody asked me what I was going to be when I grew up. I said I was going to the NFL. So like my mind, my mentality, my actions, everything, I've pretty much always been an athlete from jump.
Was it specifically football, or did you just play a whole bunch of things alongside it?
Yeah, I played baseball. I played a little bit of basketball. Didn't get as much into that. Played soccer. I did taekwondo. I did martial arts for like 6 years, which was really good for me as an athlete as well. And yeah, man. I mean, I did a little bit of everything, but football was just what I was a very aggressive little boy. I have always loved contact. I've always loved tackling. I've always loved all that stuff. And now I don't get to do it anymore for the rest of my life. So that's that's great. But
you found an interesting substitute, certainly. And as you know, when you sit down to play a game of Magic, particularly a competitive one, and there's something on the line, it evokes a lot of those same juices for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the thing is, man, is that I actually haven't had the chance to play much Magic with anything on the line. I've never played competitively because I've just never had the time to both like play test and go to these shows, and like, they're long weekends, a lot of these tournaments, you know what I'm saying? So I've never really, like, I play CEDH amongst my friends and like playing high powered Magic, but I've never gotten to do the competitive thing. So I don't even know what it feels like, but I got to imagine it's probably a similar type of feeling, you know what I mean? Especially if the prize pool is looking nice, like.
It's interesting. You and I have this sort of symmetry, although from different angles. I played Magic professionally in sports, a lot of sports on a much more amateur level. I played basically through high school. And you've played Magic essentially at an amateur level.
Yes.
And the absolute pinnacle of athletics in the NFL. So we can, I think, share experience and relate, honestly.
Oh, for sure.
Personally, I have a nervous system that feels, I think, anticipation, anxiety a little bit more acutely than a normal person. So in advance of all of the athletic competitions that I used to participate in, I don't know if you share this experience exactly, but I would be beyond nervous for days and days and days in advance of a cross-country race or a wrestling match or something. I would obsess about it for 3 or 4 days at least before it was game time. And in Magic, that feeling was exactly the same. And it would continue all the way up into the point when I sat down, really shuffled my deck and looked at my hands. And then my mind would just go into game mode and all of it would go away. So I imagine you've probably had that experience, even though you haven't played Magic for stakes, have you? Does that sound relatable?
I think the only time I played for any like level of stakes was the Kraken tournament. Like I think I entered one tournament one time, like at a GP, and like I dropped after the second round because I was like, oh, this thing goes seven rounds. I was like, what? No, I'm not doing that. I couldn't. I was not mentally prepared for that. So
withering, honestly. Yeah, it's so difficult.
It is. But what I will say is that similar to what you're kind of describing, for me was a ton of visualization. I didn't feel a ton of anxiety around it, but I just spent a lot of time like imagining myself making plays, thinking about the type of offenses that I'd be playing against, and the type, like the player I'd be playing against, and just like, I would visualize during the day. I would have dreams about it, but it didn't really come out in the form of anxiety as much as just like focus and obsession. So it's definitely a similar thing where it's like, you're in your head a lot, because you're highly competitive, you care, like I care almost a little bit too much. Sometimes it gets me in trouble how much I care.
That competitive fire, which of course was in sports, did it show up in the first kind of thing you did interacting with TCGs in the first place? In our last conversation, you mentioned that you got into Pokemon in 1999 or around then when it came out, when you were still really young.
Mm-hmm.
Did you approach that in a competitive fashion, or did you have a different passion about it?
So with Pokemon, I wasn't able to collect much. We didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, so I wasn't able to collect much. But what I was competitive in was like the video game, like having the dopest Pokemon and knowing how to like do the rare candy cheat code and like being good, being good in that form or fashion. I never played the Pokemon trading card game. I've played it now, but before I had never played it. So the game that actually got me into TCG games and like actual like gaming was Yu-Gi-Oh! One of my buddies was super into it, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Just like caught storm. Like it was so popular when it first came out. I watched the show.
What year was that?
I was there from day one. Like when they dropped it, I was into Yu-Gi-Oh! I was 11 years old when I found Magic, so then I probably would have been like 9 or 10. Launched in Japan in 1999 and made its debut in America in 2002. Yeah, I would have been like 10 years old. That would have been like right on time because I played Yu-Gi-Oh! For like a solid 2 years. And then right before I turned 12, I found Magic, and it was over after that, bro. I found Magic and I was like, this is the game. I was obsessed. Back then, bro, you had to have buddies that were playing the game. And I had a local game store, Hidden Fortress in Simi Valley, and people were playing Magic all the time. So
you're a big dude. You're tall and imposing and strong and athletic. And I imagine by the time you were 14 or 15, you had already started to gain some of that like adult size.
Mm-hmm.
How did that affect your playing of these competitive card games? I guess by the time you're 14 or 15, now you're playing Magic instead of Yu-Gi-Oh! Culturally, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of get a pass in a way because they're generally regarded as being these kid-like activities.
Like
kids collect Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so kids don't get teased for playing Pokemon. That's just what kids do.
Right.
But adults who play Pokemon might get teased. Adults who play Magic definitely got teased, particularly back in the 90s. So did anybody ever walk up to you and be like, dude, Cassius is such a nerd?
I didn't really tell anybody about it because I didn't think anybody would like care. It was my thing. I would, during the summertime, I would ride my bike like down to the trading card shop around like 3 or 4 and just sit there and wait for people to come through and play. And like, that's what I did when I was younger and I had like free time.
I'm curious to know what you were playing also. Were you playing the standard format?
Kitchen table Magic,
kitchen
bro.
Table.
Like 60 card decks. We would play like 8-player multiplayer games and like, just like really like straight kitchen table Magic. And that's what I played pretty much exclusively until I got drafted. And then when I got drafted, shortly after going to Seattle, I had one of the guys that was working at the shop be like, you need to start building like real decks. And then I started building modern decks, and then I started building legacy decks. and then I got my card stolen, and then I found CEDH. So that's kind of like the timetable for my gameplay.
2014 is when you're drafted, and that's when you start playing with people in Seattle that are like, you need to take this game more seriously, Cassius. Why are you screwing around with this random assortment of cards?
Yeah. They just were like, this is bad deck building, which is it was.
Of course it would be, right?
Yeah, of course it was, because I was just like going to the shop and being like, oh, that card seems good for this deck, and like kind of just putting it together like real kitchen table Magic style.
Yes.
And then somebody taught me about like deck lists and like, mana curve and just all the things. And I started to really learn about like the actual gameplay and deck building. After that, I just got more and more and more into it. And then my cards got stolen. And then I started to become like whatever, like an influencer of sort, because nobody had ever heard of an athlete playing Magic at the time. So that was a unique situation.
Yeah, it's funny. It was only 9 years ago, right? 2017 when that happened.
Yeah.
So on the subject of this thing you've been hinting at, your cards got stolen. Tell me what happened. What was that event?
Basically what happened was I was going to work every day. So I had my Seattle Seahawks backpack, right? That had like my playbook, all my notes, like everything like that. And then I would also have my backpack that had all of my Magic cards in it, because pretty much every day that I could, I would go stop at the card store and try and play some games.
Love it.
So I came back home and I just left my stuff in the car because I wasn't going anywhere. And long story short, my girlfriend at the time was going to the club with some of her homegirls, and she was like, "Hey, can I take your car?" So they went to the club that night. Like every car that was lined up and tinted, like every car that had tinted windows got hit. They stole the backpack. Yeah, they stole both backpacks, which, could have cost me a lot of money and fines for losing my playbook. Lucky the Seahawks were cool about it, and I did not get fined. But they stole the backpack. At the time was like $20K in Magic the Gathering, like modern and legacy decks.
Yeah.
And luckily, dude, I had bought so many of those cards recently that like the shop that I was at like basically gave all the receipts so that I got my insurance like back on it. Cause
really?
You have to cause like with insurance, you have to prove how much they cost and like market and all that stuff. So I had like all the data. So I just submitted it all. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I definitely, obviously you can't replace the time you put into decks, but to, get the money back wasn't a terrible thing.
Just as an aside, I had this guy reach out to me a couple of weeks ago. So he was back in Seattle to unload a bunch more of these legacy cards.
Uh-huh.
And that's what most of them were. They were high value legacy-ish cards. Things like Cradle, and he had like one Mishra's Factory, bunch of 5 of each revised dual land, all delicious.
Oh,
so
God.
What I love, honestly, is that you have such a passion for this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm 17 years older than you. I encountered Magic when I was 19. And so
that's crazy.
I have a reason, though, to salivate and have all of this nostalgia for this stuff. Because, I played with it when it was fresh out of packs when I was 19 and 19 and 20 and so on. And you've sort of adopted that delight, that giddy delight a little bit later, which I just find amazing.
Bro. I'm just a collector. Like I love the game. Magic the Gathering to me is the best game I've ever created. And I love Magic, but I love collecting. And I also love the financial side of Magic. And I know it's kind of taboo in the Magic industry to speak about, making money off cards. But dude, I love the game. And and you can make money on this thing. Like I love to make money. I'm a businessman, bro. Like there is an incredible opportunity for every single Magic player to turn like trading cards and liquidity into like an income. I think it's one of my favorite parts of the game. I'd say like obviously the gameplay itself is dope. I love deck building. I love the community. I love collecting, but I love the financial side. Obviously I started a card store, and as I've grown as a collector, the stuff I like to collect is like that juicy stuff that you just talked about, like the duels and the Mishra's Factory. Like I'm picking up a Mishra's Factory right now and a little tabernacle here and there.
Oh my God.
Foil City of Traders. Let me get another Foil City of Traders. I got 2 of them already.
So you mentioned the card store. You have this project called Cash Cards, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Cash cards started from me being a collector. Since I got my card stolen, everybody hit me up. So I started doing the influencer thing, and I would post. I had sponsorships with Card Kingdom for a long time and Ultra Pro and all these places. I would get paid in product to go to these shows because, back then Magic didn't, nobody was paying anybody real money. They were just like, oh, we'll give you some cases. And I was like, yes,
free cases.
I'll take cases all day long. I was buying at least 4 to 6 cases from my local game stores and just like loading up. I would open up as much as I could. I would open up as much as I needed to get like this the copies of the cards that I wanted from the set. Yeah. I would liquidate, whatever else was there. And then, you know what I mean? I would just hold like whatever sealed cases I had. So, I did that up until like 2020. And then that whole like collection of sealed cases is what I started Cash Cards Unlimited with. I think I started with it was like close to 300K in like sealed inventory, which, that's a great start for a shop. And so
for sure.
I opened up Cash Cards right after the season. I got done playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So did you open it up locally? Was it a brick and mortar place, or was this entirely digital?
Well, so what I did was this is cool. So at the time it was COVID, right? So retail locations, I wouldn't have been able to be open.
Right.
So what we did is we went to a warehouse and we opened up the store in a warehouse facility. So people weren't going to be tracking whether they were coming in and out of the store.
I see.
So we were able to act as a store for the first 2 years. I'm pretty sure first year and a half or 2 years we were in that location. And then I took over another. Yeah. And then I took over another space in there. We started streaming and then it just kind of grew from there.
Do you think you would have been as initially successful if it had been sort of business as usual and the pandemic hadn't existed when you launched? Because it would have been, you would have had a lot more competition, right?
Dude, back then, like nobody cared about like not nobody. Let's not say nobody. The vast majority of like pop culture consumers weren't consuming Pokemon and Magic and other TCGs even close to the level that they are today. When COVID hit is when that really started to like pop off. So like I feel like when I got in it was like just in time before like the major upturn happened in sports and Pokemon and Magic. Magic's been consistent for a very long time. So is Pokemon. Right. But my last season in the league, I was still running the company full time as well. So I was doing both at the same time. And I think if I had started the year after that, I would have missed out. I wouldn't have been able to grow as fast is definitely what I would say.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you would just generally describe, lacking any additional context, as serendipity, right? It's just the perfect confluence of events.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, it was a dream of mine to open up my own shop, since I was a young kid, since I, was over at my local game store and thinking like, damn, this is small and like, it's not that clean. And like my mom never really wants to come in here because it's, you know what I mean? It's like just not very female friendly. And I was like, dude, like I feel like I could have such a dope card shop. Like maybe one day I'll have like a really sick card shop and I'll take it to the next level and just be able to like play Magic with the homies. And it was like a childhood dream and it, I made it happen.
That's amazing. Honestly. Congratulations on it. Seriously. Congratulations on the success of the company. I hope you continue to grow. Do you have plans to expand?
Yeah, I mean, we are always working on ways to grow. Right now, we're just focused on the website, singles, doing a lot more singles. We stream allocation. You get allocation as you spend, and we're doing all the things that card shops do. So we are always looking for opportunities and stuff like that. But just locked in, bro. It's a day by day thing. And when opportunities come, like there's a couple of shops up in Washington that are thinking about selling. And
I've heard.
I'm intrigued to say
Looking
the least.
That. Yeah. It's kind of, it's sort of like your hometown in a way, at least as far as Magic is concerned, just because you had this huge trajectory that started when you came here.
Being a former Seahawk, I just retired as Seahawk, going back and buying out a local card store and like keep the original like feel or whatever, but like powered by Cash Cards, like that would be sick, But, in business, it's like the concept sounds good, but like, do the numbers make sense, from a business standpoint? So, we'll see how it goes, but I'm always looking to do new things and grow, man. I love entrepreneurship. bro, I'm gonna be up in Seattle, so we'll link up. I'll come up there. You'll come down here.
Yeah, we'll be down there inevitably.
Yeah, we're
anyway.
gonna get we gotta get some play testing in too. We gotta get some Cali Commander play testing, bro. I'm waiting for like my last 5 to 7 cards for the ROG Tavesh deck.
Oh shit, dude!
So I'll have like an actual
on your
list for you.
That deck is so insane. I sent you a screenshot of it.
I know.
At the beginning of turn 3, I have 5 mana in play that's usable of all the colors. I have 2 8/8 artifact creatures, as well as my commander and 5 or 6 cards in hand also at the beginning of turn 3.
Yeah, bro. I just got to see what the lines are, bro. I've never played that deck, so I have to play it a lot more to truly understand how to like pilot it. I think it definitely takes like a high level player to pilot it. You know, it is a very versatile, the way it's built out. There's a lot of options on cards to go tutor for. Like where, I just need to study the lines. One of my favorite things to do is when you build a deck out and then you put it all out on the table all pretty, and then you just sit there and look at it and you're like, ugh, I can't wait to shuffle this thing up.
You have to promise me that you'll bling it up as much as possible.
Oh, it's nasty, bro.
Do you have any beta dual lands?
I don't. I'm actually want to buy a full set of them. That's my next like big purchase, like for me as a collector, is I want to get a full set of beta dual lands.
Yeah, when you say a full set, you mean one of each just for commander?
Yeah, just one of each for basically, because I have what I call a commander cube. It's an accumulation of a bunch of decks, but I just share the cards. So like instead of having 10 Lion's Eye diamonds, I just use one, and it ends up saving me a lot of money because I like my cards to look super. I love like the highest end cards, so it'll go in that. So all of the dual lands and like that I always play with when I play CDH, they'll be
yeah.
beta.
I totally relate to that because back when cards were more affordable, a few years ago, particularly the reserve list legacy staples, pre-modern staples and stuff.
Yeah.
I would go to Card Kingdom, and generally it just in terms of friction, I'd be like, well, I could go hunt around for a Grim Monolith or a Mana Crypt, but I'll just go buy another one, And before you know it, you have like 11 of them or something.
Dude, I've got four foil Grim Monoliths just sitting in my binder, and I'm like, I'm never gonna sell them because they're so good, bro.
They're so cool.
They're so good, man. And like, I don't know, certain cards, man, they just hit really hard. Those old school foils.
Yeah, perfect segue. Honestly, I want to know, and I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, your top 5 Magic cards. They don't have to be in any particular order, but knowing what you know about Magic in 2026, having played it for decades at this point in various ways and playing a lot of Commander recently.
Okay.
Give me your top 5 cards.
Like top 5 most powerful?
Cards that you like the most. Your favorite. Cassius's 5 favorite Magic cards.
Okay. Number 1 is Time Twister.
Time Twister. Why? Tell me about it. Yeah.
The original art I love. It's super powerful. Drawing 7, shuffle up your library. It's obviously it's like it's been the only power card that you can play in Commander for a very long time. I actually have like a Time Twister tattoo on my neck. So like Can
I see it?
Yeah, it's on this side right here.
Oh, sick. I do see it. Yeah, you got the hourglass there.
Yeah. So
you didn't have the guy also just
No, I didn't want to go like the full,
Too magic art.
Full, like I was like, look, time
You're not a nerd. You know.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I got the mana symbols tatted on my fingers.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, imagine you're like lining up, facing off. You played as a defensive tackle, right?
Defensive end. Yeah. I played D-tackle in college too, though.
And some guy's looking over and he's like, is that Time Twister art on your neck?
Yeah, dude, it's sick. It's sick. But I'd say Time Twister number 1. I also love Wheel of Fortune. Those 2 cards are just 2 of my faves.
Yeah, they're so unbelievable. Think of the possibilities,
just
right?
So good. I mean, they're just never a bad card in your deck, And so those are sick. I'd say Gaea's Cradle is another one for me that I really, really love.
How come? Did you have like a specific deck that it was just an all-star in?
I just think it's always an all-star. Like whenever you play the card, like obviously if you have a lot of creatures in your deck, it's so powerful. And that combined with Candelabra is just such a fun, there's just so many ways to just create so much mana just like off of that one land, which it's a fun way to play.
So a couple of days ago, I sent you some preliminary deck lists. You asked for a couple of different designs that I've been working on Magic Online so that you could apply the Cassius touch. And one of those decks was Omnath, Locus of Mana.
I haven't messed with it yet.
Mono green. If ever there was a deck, Cassius, where Gaea's Cradle is absurd, it's that. It's
I could only imagine.
Insane in that deck.
I got to check out that list. I couldn't get past the Rog to Vesh list because obviously that was like the deck that you were like, this is super nasty.
Yeah.
And I never really play Rakdos, so I was very intrigued. It doesn't look like what my typical decks look like, which is, just I play a lot of blue. Yep. So I was fun. I was excited to put that deck list together. But Omnath is definitely on the list of cards to build out, like deck lists to build out. One of the other deck lists I built out recently was Bridget, which is also super nasty. It's a Gaia's Cradle on your creature, but like even in that deck, like it's just Gaia's Cradle is just so good, man. So
the effect is so bananas. I had a conversation with Rosewater a couple of days ago, actually on the 4th of July. He and his daughter came to watch the fireworks later that night. And we, after it was over, we were sitting there and eventually the subject of Urza's Saga came up.
So good.
And we were talking about those insane lands. And so Mark was saying that he inadvertently is the reason why the Tolarian Academy is so broken. Because the original design, it made generic mana, which is kind of on flavor.
Like, nah.
And Mark's like, we've got a cycle of these. Look, there's a white one too. How about we make it blue? What could go wrong?
So good.
So we were talking about Cradle too. Yeah, Cradle is like a $1,700 card now or something. Just the basic high quality one.
The Judge promo is like $7,000 to $8,000. Like a near mint copy is like 10 racks. It's pretty nuts, man. Those kinds of cards are the ones that I'm really collect. Those are the ones I hoard, like the masterpieces, the Judge promos, like Judge promo Intuition, stuff like that. Grim Monolith, foil Grim Monolith, like those old school foils, 7th edition foils. Like the 7th edition Bop is just so nice, bro. That's one of my faves too. I'll put that one on the list. And I'll probably put foil Grim Monolith on the list too.
Okay,
as far as like collectible
we're moving
cards.
down the top 5. Got it. It's so interesting to hear it informed by that, right? Because most people, when you talk to them, their primary way of assessing how much they love a card has everything to do with a mixture of nostalgia and utility.
Yeah.
It's like, that was a card that I kicked everyone's ass with in the summer of 1998 or whatever. In fact, a great example of that is our vice president, JD Vance, who was apparently a Magic player way back in the day.
Really? I didn't know that.
Apparently he was hardcore into it when he was younger. And apparently JD Vance was asked by a reporter, "Oh, you played Magic. Well, what's your favorite Magic card?" Guess what he said?
What?
Yawgmoth's Bargain.
Ooh. That's a phenomenal drop right there.
Yawgmoth's Bargain, a card so insanely powerful and broken that it's been banned in Commander since almost day one.
Yeah, that card is nasty.
But it says a lot about the guy's sensibilities.
Yeah,
right?
like he wanted to win.
Card.
He was like, "Yeah, this card is gross."
6-mana enchantment in a casual game of Commander. Sign me up.
Oh man,
Slam.
just right
draw
on
one,
the
draw
alley.
one, draw one, draw one. That's probably how he got cut his teeth as a player.
100%.
It's so funny. Okay, so did we get all 5? I want to go back.
Okay, so we got Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune, Foil Grim Monolith. All of these are the Judge promo. So Judge promo, Wheel of Fortune, Time Twister, Judge promo, Gaia's Cradle, Foil Grim Monolith, and then the foil 7th edition Birds of Paradise.
Got it. And the fact that you've specifically singled out that they're foil is so interesting. You're the first person I've ever asked this question to that has ever said the foil version is extremely important to me. And it shows that you're the consummate collector. All right, so Matt, we've been talking for ages, and we have not gotten to a very important and controversial topic, something that keeps coming up in just about every video that I've made over the last couple of months on this channel. It is definitely on the tip of everyone's tongue and their minds. Universes Beyond. Cassius, I would love a frank sort of deep dive into your feelings about Universes Beyond, starting with the first time you encountered it and how it made you feel as a longtime collector.
What was the first time they did it? Was it it wasn't the Jurassic Lands. What was the first Universes Beyond? Oh, was it the Godzilla collaboration?
That was my first encounter with that specific version of it?
I think that was like kind of that was around the beginning, and I remember getting those and being like, I need 20 of each of these lands because these lands are just sick. The actual cards were cool too. But I was more like, dude, I need these for like deck building. Like I want 20 of these islands. So if I can, like my Teferi deck, my pet deck is still all those Godzilla islands. Like the whole deck is Godzilla islands, which is sick. So can you
describe what do they look like? Can you describe
it's basically Godzilla out like in the ocean, like walking around. Like it's just water, just cool doing Godzilla things, you know? Yeah.
So your first reaction to this was, holy shit, how cool. Godzilla's in Magic.
I loved it. I mean, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was all great, bro. Like I thought, you know, Godzilla people will love this. You know, you'll probably get some people coming in trying to, you know, have the full set of all the different cards. And I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was a great business idea. I thought it was a great idea for getting new people into the game, at least from a collectible standpoint. And to me, with Magic, I think getting people in as collectors is easier than getting people in as players because it's so hard to learn the game and it takes so much time. So I thought like Universes Beyond is one of those things that gives people who have like who are fans of these other IPs, it gives them an opportunity to collect that stuff. And then once you start collecting anything Magic, it's only a matter of time before you get curious about playing the game. And then once you play the game, you're stuck. Like I don't know very many people that have like learned how to play the game of Magic and not just fell in love with it.
Have you been responsible for introducing close friends, fellow athletes and stuff in that way? I know that you had a big reputation because of the loss of the Dex event and the fact that Watsy kind of galloped in. But what about more privately?
I mean, what I will say is a lot of people, like a lot of athletes come to me when they're first getting into it. Like, I'm gonna fuck up his name. His name is Tabor Snapping. I forget his last name. He's a good friend, good homie. We never played against each other or played with each other in the NFL, but he's a long snapper. And he came to me like years ago with just like heavy interest into Pokemon and all this stuff and asking about like the industry and starting a card shop and blah, blah, blah. And fast forward to now, he's like on his second year of having his own card shop. And, you know, Leonard, when he first got into the game, he came to me and I put together I put together the deck. He gave me the list and I put together all the cards for him and sold it to him. And, you know, Joe Manganiello's came to me for his big, like first big deck. I built out a Tiamat deck for him, which is super nasty.
So cool.
So it's been more like that. Like people, when they kind of get into it in some form or fashion, they come to me and, you know, I help them find stuff and then they find their way. You know what I mean? It's just like I love to be a place for people who are curious about it to like feel free to come and ask me questions about anything in the collectible space because I really do love it all. Like I started collecting vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! I love One Piece. I've been, you know, dabbling in One Piece cards as well. Like I just love trading card games in general and just collecting. So, you know, I'm always happy to nerd out and talk to people about that type of stuff.
One of the things that I found really interesting about your particular kind of direction of your collecting, it actually relates to something that I witnessed when we were hanging out together at that art event in Vegas. At some point, I witnessed this kind of rather degenerate behavior on your behalf, where we're in the middle of a conversation, we're riffing about some piece of art. All of a sudden, you pull out your phone, you go, you know what? I just need to do this. And I see you go buy down your phone, scroll by.
What did I buy out? I bought
you flip your phone over and you show me that you just bought something like 10 foil Judges Gaea's Cradles. You're saying, I'm going to get this one and this one and this one and this one all the way to, okay, I'm not going to pay $8,000 for one. And it's so interesting to see that glee and delight over a card that, from my sensibilities, because I started playing years before and had a kind of whole different interaction.
Yeah.
To me, that's like a behavior that makes sense with Moxes, but not something that's like a Judge's card that is essentially a serialized card.
Yeah.
So my question is does the value of something like a Mox feel different to you emotionally over something that's has value because it's serialized?
Yeah. I would say, okay, so for me, like, and we talked about Universes Beyond and my general feel about Universes Beyond. I think Universes Beyond brings new people into the game better than anything in Magic ever has. It is the reason why Magic is blowing up, and a lot of people are resistant to it because it's becoming more expensive. But Magic's always been an amazing game, and it was only a matter of time before people found out about it. And I think Universes Beyond is the reason why people found out about it. Does Magic do it perfect? Does WotC execute it perfectly? Of course not. There's always going to be critiques, and no company can be perfect. But I think that the idea of it is absolutely genius, and I think that it's taken Magic to a whole nother level, and it's made me enjoy Magic a lot more. As serialized cards and like judge promos and foils and all that stuff, that is like, for me, is the shit that lights me up. Now,
Yeah,
I love to see a Lotus in power pieces. Like, that stuff makes me foam at the mouth too, but it doesn't have the same connection because I haven't gotten to play with those cards that often. Whereas like Gaia's Cradle and Intuition, Grim Monolith and Time Twister and Wheel of Fortune, these are cards I play with all the time. And I'm a real collector. I love foils. So like serialized cards are big for me. You know, rare stuff like the foil City of Traders, I absolutely love those. Like, I want to buy more of those all the damn time. That's the stuff, like, for you, it's like the alpha power and all that stuff. And like, and I get that. And I love that stuff too. But there is definitely another level for me with like judge promos and serialized cards and like these Mind Stones, dude. I've been having a great time like buying up these Mind Stones. I like the rare cards. I love the created rare ability. I think it's so good. And just in general, I think it's so good. I know a lot of Magic people are resistant to like Magic being a collector game, but it is. It always has been. It's just more so now.
The fact that these cards resonate with you emotionally because they're accessible and they're actual game pieces to you is the key thing here. And what's really interesting is that wrapped up in that is one of the central arguments behind abolishing the reserved list. I know that isn't something that is as talked about these days.
Yeah.
I found that as people have begun to focus more on the secondary market that you spend most of your time in, that whole idea of reprinting that stuff has gone away. And obviously the one experiment that was conducted a couple of years ago was a catastrophic failure.
Whoa, people were
Anniversary edition. Yeah. Whoa, wait a minute. We don't want that, right?
Dude, people gave me flack for even selling it. I was like, damn, dude, like, it's just a product that came out. I didn't make this shit.
So it's interesting, right? Because the modern generation of players, people who are basically Gen Z, late millennial, mid millennial, people from like 20, 22, 23 up into their mid 30s. Mm-hmm. Those people have all of this overlap in play experience with you. Their Lotuses and Moxes are things like Judge's Foils and Gaia's Cradles and stuff. Cards that they can actually play with. Because those cards were legal to me, right? They were the cards that were essentially my game pieces when I first started playing Magic. Exactly. Yeah. So I have an emotional attachment to them. Getting people from your generation to share that emotional attachment is very challenging unless they get to play with them. Mm-hmm. But the only way they get to play with them is if they are reprinted and violate the reserved list, because otherwise they're forced to basically play with a mixture of collector's edition or just outright proxies. So it's an interesting paradox there. What do you think about the reserve list, honestly, as an idea?
I'm a collector. Here's what I'll say. Similar to first edition Pokemon or any like original art piece that changed the world in some type of way, it should be respected as a piece of art. You know what I mean? Like, there is like a sort of pedestal that like certain sets should always remain. Like doing a first edition set, you know, Alpha being the same thing, and like those cards being very protected. And, you know, I think they've only reprinted like the original Charizard art one time. You know?
in the unlimited edition, which came basically the same as Magic. Right.
Which was like, I'm saying after they did like a first edition unlimited, they did the one at like 20, I think it was like, God, what was it? It was basically a new version of the original 151.
Interesting.
And the cards were very similar, but never the first edition, right? So there's something to be said about like it being first edition, it being the starting point, and it being kind of like on this pedestal that should be respected and, admired and kept where it's at. Like, if we started making copies of Picassos and stuff, like, I feel like there's something, I don't know, not holy, but like, I don't know what the word is that I'm trying to go for here.
I relate, exactly. Sacred, I think, is the word, right?
Sacred would be the word. Yes. Sacred. Yes. I think the reserve list is sacred.
I agree.
Now, all the people who are going to, say that I only feel that way because I have money.
Right.
Maybe you're right. And like, if I was looking at this from a place of being like, not having much and not being able to attain those cards, I could see myself thinking differently. But it's a collectible game. And if you print everything into the ground the way that Yu-Gi-Oh has, then very few of your cards have any real value, and then it becomes less collectible and people lose interest in the game. So I just think the reserve list, if they ever did abolish the reserve list, I think they would lose a lot of like the more faithful Magic the Gathering customers over the last years. Like the real OGs in the game, I think would be really pissed off.
Beyond, I think lawsuits would rain down.
For sure.
Promissory estoppel violations.
Yeah. It would be bad. And again, the people who aren't in that category are just like, fuck those guys. And you know what I mean? Like, it's like I kind of do understand how they feel, but it's just, it is what it is. If you got in on Tesla, I got there first. I got here first.
10,000x or whatever increase.
It just is what it is. I got here first. You didn't get here until this time, so you only profit this much, or like you don't profit, like whatever. It's just business, But people don't see it that way because it's a trading card game and people love it so much, and it feels like something different. It feels like not a business, but that's exactly what it is. Magic the Gathering is a fucking business based on a game. Same way that like the NFL is a business based on a game. Don't forget that the decisions that they're making are business decisions. They're not, it has your emotions don't fucking matter, guys. They matter to you, but they don't matter to people who are running a business. It's like, I think WotC does a decent job of listening to the community, but at the end of the day, they've got to do what's best for the business. Universes Beyond, best for the business.
I would love your feedback on this series. If you're enjoying the videos, please give me a thumbs up. If there's games you think I might have missed, let me know and I will get to them. See you for the next one.